Good afternoon. Welcome to the Arts Council of Hillsborough County's FYE 2022 Community Arts Impact Grant Panel meeting. I'm Martine Collier, the Executive Director of the Arts Council, and my fellow staff member Eileen Blake is here today, and she will be serving as the scorekeeper. Before we allow the panelists to introduce themselves, we're going to go over just a few housekeeping details so everyone knows what to expect during the proceedings. All panelists will remain muted except when it is their turn to speak. As was the case when this meeting was done in person, members of the audience will not have an opportunity to address the panelists directly. Panelists who have employment or derive any monetary return directly or through a family member from any applicant organization were asked to declare a conflict of interest early in this process. We will announce those conflict of interest at the beginning of the discussion of the application in question, and panelists will absent themselves from the discussion of that application by simply turning off their camera until the discussion and scoring of that application is completed. So here is some context for the process today. We will review applications starting from Community Arts Impact Nonprofit applicants, followed by Community Arts Impact College and Universities applicants. Applications eligible up to 100 points and must receive an average of 75 points or more to be considered for funding. However, a score of 75 points does not guarantee funding. Although each panelist has reviewed and scored every application, a first reader has been assigned randomly to each application. The first reader completes a more thorough review of each application and will begin the discussion of that application. All other panelists then have an opportunity for comments and discussion. Discussion of each application should be no longer than approximately 5 to 6 minutes in length. Panelists have an opportunity following the discussion of each applicant to make changes to their score sheet. Panelists will be called upon to announce their total score beginning with the first reader at the conclusion of each application discussion. If there is a change in the original score, panelists are asked to announce that their score has changed and reflect the changed score on their score sheet. At the end of each level, panelists have a last opportunity to revisit their scores. Once this process is complete, the scores are final. Grants are awarded beginning with the highest scoring score. The panel's recommendation for funding based upon the scoring will be taken to the Arts Council's Board of Directors for approval. The amount of the award will not be known until after approved by the Arts Council's Board of Directors. And very important, funding for the Community Arts Impact Grant is provided by the Hillsborough County Board of County Commission. We are very grateful for their ongoing and continued support of arts in Hillsborough County. And now I'd like to ask the panelists to all give you a brief introduction to themselves and their background. And let's start with Theron Butler.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Theron Butler. I go by TR to some in the professional theater community. And I have been with the Arts Council for a few years now. And my day job, as it were, I work in the healthcare space, but I've been performing throughout the Tampa Bay area and on the Northeast coast for over 20 years now. So very excited to talk about these applications.
Wonderful. Megan, would you please introduce yourself?
Sure. My name is Megan Parsons. I've been with the Arts Council for about 2 years now. I have a background in arts administration. Prior to moving to Florida a couple years ago, I was the executive director of a small symphony and have served as director of marketing and PR for Contemporary Art Museum and Community Arts School. The arts are a passion of mine for sure. So looking forward to discussing these applicants.
Great. Dontavius, it's your turn.
Hello, my name is Dontavius Pittman. I've been with the Arts Council about 2 years now. I didn't realize it's been that long, Megan. I have a background in architecture, in design, and 3D printing. I am very excited to be a part of this grant panel to get this experience and exposure. Thank you.
Great. And now we have Bob Terry.
Hi, Bob Terry. I've been with the Arts Council on and off for quite a number of years in my previous life, and then I moved back here from Charlotte, North Carolina. I'm back on, and I'm ready to matriculate soon after 8 years. So been always involved with art from my childhood in New York. I have a degree in fine arts and sociology. I served in the United States Army for more years than I care to discuss, and I've been in corporate advertising and marketing, and also my proud moment was being a director of arts programs here in Tampa and in Charlotte, North Carolina for adults with varying abilities, multiple diagnoses. Those art programs are continuing today, and I opened up 4 centers in Charlotte as well. Been in advertising and marketing in the Bay Area, and right now I'm concentrating, since I've retired from corporate world, I concentrate on 3D, some 3D pieces, as well as extensive collection in photo montage. I am an advocate of arts, and artists like to eat too. So, that's me.
Great. So Georgia.
Okay, my name is Georgia Vahue. I am a retired arts administrator at the executive level. I've also been a gallery director, also education background in the arts in New York, London, and in Tampa and in Florida. I have served as a grant panelist for the National Endowment for the Arts, for the Chase Foundation in New York, and also for the New York State, as well as the Florida Department of Cultural Affairs too. I love reviewing grants. I wrote them for years, and I find it, I understand from this point how challenging it is to write a grant, and one that's going to be successful. So you have someone who's sympathetic as I read each grant. So thank you very much for contributing and supporting the arts in Hillsborough County.
And speaking of thanks, we want to thank our panelists. They sign on to a lot of work and time to review these applications, and we simply could not do this without them. So thank you to all of you for your investment of time and talent in this process. So without further ado, we're going to start with our first application. And that is the Caribbean Community Association, and Theron Butler is our first reader.
Okay, thank you. So as a first reader, I'm going to give a little bit of additional detail related to the Caribbean Community Association. They are based in Riverview. Their project specifically requested funding. It's called Kids in the Arts Summer Camp. The overall project cost would be $15,000, and their request was for $5,000. The goals of this particular group are really to promote Caribbean culture in the Tampa area for those diaspora raised throughout, and also to bring that humanitarian awareness for those who have the Caribbean descent. This program would be focused to support students in grades K through 12. And the project specifically targets 3rd through 8th grade. And it's through activities, these activities of visual and performance arts with instruction in drawing, music, dance, and creative writing. Those activities help the children really develop not only a cultural identity, but helps maximize exposure to the arts and encourage positive self-esteem. And the overall program, some of my comments, should I go right into the different types of comments and my scoring?
Sure.
Okay.
Go.
The overall program, I believe, was there were some very good benefits for the value in the community. There was good correlation around the history of where the project originated, the use of professional psychoanalysis to help evaluate the artistic work submitted by the students, to also help to see if there's any opportunities for additional community support. So given the fact that there's the pandemic and the types of art that might be created, there was specific insight into making sure that they're looking at those arts created and making sure that everyone's well-rounded. There was good community partnership with JP Morgan Chase and Citigroup. It was well stated as far as the value with the performing arts, where students work with local community arts educators to explore their Caribbean heritage. And they cited artists like Dean Frazier and Jamaican saxophonist Amelia Mitchell. And so overall, I thought this was a good application. There was sufficient evidence throughout that demonstrated that the crucial criteria was met. My overall score was 81 of 100.
Okay, other comments?
Yes, I had comments. They did not seem to pay attention to the numbers. There were some board numbers that just didn't match up, and the staff numbers, they left their attendance numbers blank in areas. And yes, it's a worthwhile program, but the narrative was going back and forth sometimes. So that was concerning.
And I agree, Georgia, because I see on my other page of this particular one that I had listed that it looks like this was the one had some financial discrepancies. It looked like $16 was in one section and then it went to 85. So I was aware of that as well. And I think that's some of the things that lowered the score for me.
Any other comments? If not, we will go to announcing our scores. And even though you gave it there, we start with you to get the score. So tell us again, your score was. You're muted.
81.
Okay. Megan?
87.
Dontavius?
88.
Bob?
88.
Georgia?
78.
Eileen, can you give us our average?
It comes out to an 84.4.
Okay, very good. Our next applicant is the Florida Institute for Community Studies, and Megan Parsons is the first reader.
So the Florida Institute for Community Studies, their mission is to partner with communities across Florida to help them achieve their goals through research, education, training, services, and the arts. Total cost for the project is $15,900. They're asking for $5,000. The proposed project is two-pronged, assisted by a part-time staff member and a webmaster. So work with the Patel-Strass partnership to create an educational musical skit video about vaccination for youth and adults, because so much vaccine hesitancy in both the town and country and Umama areas, and bridge the transportation gap for seniors, youth, and families by providing free buses to see performances at the Strass, for which they are allotted tickets. By renting buses, they're able to assist parents' mental health and anxiety with driving, especially for the undocumented immigration community, and paying for parking. And this creates a new space where families get to spend the day together, enjoy arts and culture, which is not something that gets to happen very often in some of the communities that they serve. So they have community partners to help reach out to their families, including Strass and Patel Conservatory, the Senior Center, and the Florida Department of Health. Section 2A, I believe there was a it was submitted with an incorrect answer. Seems to be a copy of the answer to response 3A. So that answer had been duplicated, and I just recommend that folks take a double look at their applications before submitting. It did not really affect the score in this particular one of the things that we were, asked to grade. It didn't really affect that, but just be super careful about double checking those answers. I thought they had a very thoughtful lineup of programs ahead, and I thought there was clear oversight of financials and planning, and definitely is an interesting project that serves a need that's not met right now, I believe. So I gave it a score of 93.
So other thoughts?
My only thought I put at the bottom of mine, I put some notes in some cases. What I thought was interesting that they brought forward the idea of the lack of transportation, and that's such an important issue in Hillsborough County in general, and the fact that they're really focusing on that in order to expand and outreach programming. And that is a main thing that we should support, is making sure that people can actually get to the arts and cultural events or venues that are out there, and or going out and reaching out into the community. But the fact that we're providing some support for transportation is incredibly important. And I'm glad to see this project came forward.
Other thoughts?
Yeah, that was one thing that prompted me to score them so high, was that they are providing accessibility to their project for these communities to actually come out and experience it. So that was a plus for me, just to see that they were taking the time to help people get transportation.
Anyone else?
So I just wanted to sort of, I agree with all the points that the other panelists are stating there. There was a few things that just, which were impactful for me from the scoring, since I sort of deviated a little bit from others. But I felt like there was clearly communicated about the transportation needs. One of the things that I was looking for, though, is more about tangible things, providing testimonials or evidence from past participants about what they've gotten from the experiences, or numbers around how many people have decided to pursue visual arts or taken up writing. Maybe it was just me, I was unable to access the website because I wanted to find more information, and I just kept getting website address errors. I would have liked to have seen more examples of maybe some of the surveys that have been done in the past and the type of feedback that they had received, to help them understand what type of activities or events they want to take their target audience to. And yep, that was it.
Anyone else?
Yes, I'd like to add that I would just like to have seen them reach more people. They seem to focus in a couple of areas and just expand their program and their reach to the community.
Any other thoughts? Well, I think we're ready to score. We will start with Megan.
93.
Dontavius.
96.
Bob.
83.
Georgia.
88.
Theron.
62.
So Eileen, can you give us our average score?
It comes to an 84.4.
Very good. Our next applicant is the Gasparilla Music Foundation, and Dontavius is our first reader.
Okay, so the Gasparilla Music Foundation, they were requesting $5 for a project called Recycled Tunes. I'll just read a little bit about Recycled Tunes. The mission of Recycled Tunes is to enrich the lives of underserved and impoverished children in Tampa Bay by ensuring access to musical instruments. So I found this one interesting because they were serving these impoverished children at Title I schools donating instruments for them to play. They also gave them performance opportunities and to display the teachings that they're learning with these instruments. They have many sponsors and meaningful collaborations with the school boards. And they also work with a program called Little Kids Rock, which is a national organization dedicated to providing underserved school children with instruments across the United States. They have a large financial backing, and they're tied to a large entity such as Gasparilla Music Fest. And they serve K through 12 children. And this is honestly, it was such a, I didn't have many notes on it because it was a good proposal.
Okay, other thoughts?
On Gasparilla?
Yep.
The idea of putting instruments in individuals' hands when they need it is just, it's always an incredible program. And Arts Council has done something like this once before, and I wholeheartedly support instruments being given to people who need it, and expands the whole experience of music, and it's wonderful.
Other comments?
Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I agree. I felt that this was a very strong application. Just always trying to think of things that maybe to improve in a future iteration. And so I just would have liked to have seen some more statistics or on tangible numbers of the number of students served in 1 year, perhaps maybe the instruments donated or distributed. And the scoring measures of I think it was question 1D, I put here, scoring measures of success that they use to apply to those results. So,
Megan.
I thought it was a great program. I know that I've come across, it's a program that I was in, that I knew about prior to reading the grant. So being able to, or grant application, but I thought the grant application was very well written. All the information that I wanted to see was there, and they have a good footprint in the community.
Anyone else?
To me, it was a very well-written and outstanding application.
Very good. Anybody else? Well, then I think we're ready to score. We will start with Dontavius.
My score was 96.
Bob.
90.
Georgia.
100.
Theron.
92.
And Megan.
100.
Eileen, could you give us our average?
Yes, that gives us a 95.6.
Great. Our next applicant is Heard 'em Say Youth Arts Collective, and Bob is our first reader.
Okay, this project is built around the spoken word programming. It's an open mic program that they're supporting, and it's an important vehicle for many populations. And the idea that spoken word is being more and more accepted as an art form, where individuals can finally be heard and using their voice, and audiences are increasing for this particular art form. The program gives a broad spectrum, and I hope it does expand with some support. It's valuable to have spoken word because this vehicle is different than theater or musical performance. It is so focused on individuals and expressing themselves, and I think that's wonderful. They have developed some partnerships, but once the project becomes more real, hopefully they'll develop more partnerships to support their effort. There is a good focus and vision. It just needs, again, more support in that. Consistent performance opportunities are planned which can extrapolate into more outreach and participation, which of course, will feed on itself. What I did like was there's strong peer-to-peer application. There's a strong. Oh, one of the things I did feel that their budget is very small and tight, and but they have had some other sources of funding step up, which is great. Again, it's a small organization. They need more volunteers. Maybe interns would be a good place at this time for them. And they need to reach out for more funding, which would really enhance what they're doing. And I do feel it's an important component to the arts in our community. So I support that. And as a result, I wound up giving it an 86.
Okay, other thoughts?
I thought that despite the size of the organization, because I think it's important to have organizations of all size, the small and the large. And I thought that it was impressive the work that they, displayed, planning for and their history, despite their size. And I thought it was a well-written grant application.
Other comments?
I also thought this was a good application. I really loved the example that they provided of their spoken word. I thought that was outstanding, the Medusa segment. And I thought it was really good with the demographics about who their high school graduation rate success of 100%. If in future it might be helpful to specifically cite, if you're able to, the partnership organizations that you've worked with in Orlando, Jacksonville, and Savannah to add strength to your application. And the only sort of question that I had was, since there really wasn't a lot of programming in 2020, I was a little confused by the expense breakdown of where some of those costs from last year were coming from. But that was it.
Anybody else? Okay, I think we're ready to score. And Bob, tell us your score again.
86.
Georgia?
97.
Theron?
78.
Megan?
100.
And Dontavius?
94.
Okay. Our next applicant is Job Site Theater, and Georgia is our first reader.
Martine, did you want me to get the final score on that last one?
I'm sorry, I completely zoned out. Yes, please go back to Heard 'em Say Youth Collective and give us the average score.
Okay, they ended up with a 91.
Perfect. Now we will go to Job Site Theater and Georgia Vahue.
All right, thank you very much. David Jenkins is the official residence artist director since 1998. And the project that they want to produce is Romeo and Juliet. And they are looking to produce it or start putting it together in December, and then actually have the production present in February of next year. They focus on, will be during the Romeo and Juliet on the educational outreach with theater, in-school visits, field trips, and then incorporate master classes, public forums, and also they want to make this whole production of Romeo and Juliet a modern production with modern costumes, high def video, and original score. This is certainly the home theater for Ethel Straz, and they have an outstanding reputation. And it was a well-written, well-presented application.
Other comments?
Of course, I really support their application completely, and I feel very strongly about it. And I also feel that what's interesting about Job Site or any of the theater performances that are going on in Hillsborough County right now, what's starting to emerge is theater in Hillsborough County in particular, certainly because of the Straz and Stageworks and Tampa Theater and all. We're starting to emerge and film. Something is starting to happen in Hillsborough County in terms of performances, and we're going to be known as a real performance center. And Job Sites is a really good component to all of that, and I like to see where all of this is going. It's wonderful, so I support it highly.
I would add one other thing to that yet is that what they're focusing on too is that Job Site has become a home for regional artists
Right.
and local workers, and really contributing to the economy for those artists who used to leave town.
That's why I said artists like to eat too.
Yeah. I agree with Georgia and Bob. I think it's a very strong application. I had sort of rated this as exceptional. And the one suggested future goal was really, as I was looking at both the website, the ensemble information, is because of the school component and going to Title I schools, the makeup of those schools will probably be, could be a fair amount of underserved communities or non-white participants. So finding ways to have the performers on the stage reflect a more diverse look and set will probably be helpful, especially given something like Romeo and Juliet. So I just thought that a more diverse set of faces with the ensemble can just further strengthen both the program and the process.
Other thoughts? Okay, then I think we're ready to score. We will start with Georgia.
100.
Theron.
97.
Megan.
100.
Dontavius.
92.
And Bob.
92.
Eileen, will you give us our average for Job Site?
Yes, that comes to a 96.2.
Very good. Our next applicant is Lab Theater Project, and Theron Butler is the first reader.
All right, let me just get my notes.
Where are my notes?
Okay, so the Lab Theater Project is, it's also focused, it's close to Ybor, so it's got some good proximity to creatives. It's filling a need because it is the only theater in Tampa focused exclusively on bringing new works from emerging playwrights to the stage. They also focus on helping train new actors and theater artists. So they offer a variety of courses, both online. This program runs on a calendar year, and the particular project they're seeking funding for is called Project Greenlight. It's a 12-week intensive program that culminates in original work for screen being shown in front of producers or artistic directors for possible production. The workshop specifically has some really accomplished instructors. And so there's a unique dynamic of one-on-one coaching and mentorship throughout this program. Some of which these mentors are, professionals from the New York area. So I thought that created, as an actor myself, a real sense of value. At the end of the 12 weeks, they work to have their work read aloud by professional actors in front of that panel of producers. And then the readings are also open to the public. So here's another opportunity for some unique behind the scenes insights for the public about how new work is created. So overall, I thought this was a very good application. Some of the things that were really unique to me were the playwright's vision for grow as an artist, develop new theater, actors, directors, designers, and stage managers. build a diverse, a core set of diverse artists who desire a lifelong practice of theatrical artistry, and offer a safe and equitable environment where everyone is welcome. So it was very compelling. There's support material regarding the review of the Wendy House from Creative Loafing. So I thought that this was a strong application.
Other thoughts?
Yes. Okay. Their numbers didn't work. I mean, I'm questioning the attendance numbers. Are they performing in other counties other than Hillsborough? Their mission, I would recommend, really needs to be tightened up and a little bit simpler, because when you read their narrative, you realize what their mission was, made it much clearer. And then I, just was a little bit confused. Are they focusing on Tampa? Are they, where are they performing?
Megan.
One of the notes that I wrote down, unless I read it wrong, I think I was a little confused if this was a 10-week project or a 12-week project. I think I saw references to both of those numbers on the timeline, and just be very careful, be thoughtful and double check your numbers. Reread your application 2, 3, 4, 5 times, have other people read it, double check your work before submitting.
Any other thoughts? Okay, I think we're ready to score. We'll start with Theron.
84.
Megan.
70.
Dontavius.
86.
Bob.
91.
Georgia.
75.
And our average, Eileen?
It gives us an 81.2.
Okay. Our next applicant is Outcast Theater Collective. Theron has declared a conflict of interest with this one. So Theron, if you would just turn off your video for the discussion on this, which will be led by our first reader, Megan Parsons.
So sorry for being muted. So I really enjoyed reading this application. The mission of the Outcast Theater Collective is to enhance local theatrical diversity by facilitating professional development of artists from marginalized communities. Total project cost is $7,000, and they're asking for $5,000. Outcast plans on recruiting and training a Spanish-speaking performance ensemble. They would like to hire 5 Spanish-speaking theater of the oppressed practitioners who have developed the strategic plan to lead Outcast efforts. Their goal is to provide more work for Spanish-speaking artists and to expand performance programming for Spanish-speaking audiences, and to offer equity, diversity, and inclusion workshops in Spanish-speaking communities and organizations. Lots of actor training. They create professional opportunities for Black, Hispanic, disabled, LGBTQ communities, as well as Chacanx, I think I'm pronouncing that right, communities going directly, and they're going directly to the communities that they serve. So again, making accessibility to this art, expanding access to more Spanish-speaking communities through acting workshops and trainings, partnering with stage work in diverse communities, great planning and financial oversight. That I thought, I just thought it was really well written, and it's great to see all the inclusion and access to this art form. And I gave it a score of 100.
So other thoughts?
Yeah, I said that it presents a very strong purpose, collaboration, and outreach. It has a wonderful combination of all of those. Very strong, in my opinion.
Anyone else? Okay, I think we're ready to score. We'll start with Megan.
100.
Dontavius,
91.
Bob,
90.
Georgia,
97.
and will you give us our average, Eileen?
It's a 94.5.
Theron, you can join us again now, and we will move on to our next application, which is Philippine Cultural Foundation, and Dontavius is our first reader.
All right, so the Philippine Cultural Foundation, Inc., their mission, well, they're requesting $5,000. Their mission for their company is to preserve and present the Philippine heritage and cultures as our legacy to future generations and our contribution to diversity of the region in the state of Florida. Their program is PhilFest, which is their repeat award recipient. They had to cancel last year, 2020, due to the pandemic. But so they were creating accessibility, not exclusion, for displaying Philippine culture. The PhilFest is located at their Cultural Enrichment Complex located in Tampa. They were highlighting Filipino food and cultural merchandise and entertainment. So Martina, I have to say that after I submitted my score by accident, I wanted to change a couple of things. Would I be able to do that?
Yes, you can change. When we go through the scores at the end of the discussion, you have an opportunity to change your score.
Okay, so I found that that the presentation of this, it presented some challenges as far as accessibility. It was for the Philippine culture, but I wanted to see how Filipino students would be impacted and how they would bring more people to these events. There didn't seem to be a large group attending, and with the events being impacted over 2020, it really didn't seem like they were going to be able to grow from their 2019 numbers.
Other thoughts?
So I was just wanting, I felt like this one left me with wanting more. So some of my, like the project planning component, I wanted more details. I felt like this was very broad. I understand it's a festival. It just felt like there would be a lot of stuff. And I didn't feel like it would have been, my suggestion was focus on one particular item as part of the
exactly
festival.
how one project.
One project.
Yeah.
I was confused over exactly the use of funds, because I think the project outlined, I have my notes here saying 4,000 for sound technician, grant cost was listed as 5. It left me saying, well, what's the other 1,000 doing? So I was also concerned of the costs of what was detailed as the administrative personnel compared to the payments to the artists. So Bob, I was a fan of your artists like to eat too. I know as a performer in the theater world, I enjoy receiving a check.
Starving artist is a romantic thought, but you know,
yes,
it only goes so far.
Yes. So those were, and then the last thing was just know your audience. So there was a lot of abbreviations without real context as to what they stood for. And so just knowing that sort of left me with, I don't know really what that stands for in the context of the application. So those were my comments.
Any other comments?
Yes, about their expenditures when the budget, and I think Megan probably noticed this too, because she and I always seem to look at the numbers. The expenditures were more than the revenues in the past fiscal year, and also the current fiscal year. But there were no explanation why, if you're spending more than you're bringing in, why, please explain, or is there a budget carryover? So with no explanation, that throws up, questions.
Any other thoughts? Okay, then I think we're ready to score. And Dontavius, you have said you had a change in score.
Yes, so I actually wanted to score them 90.
90.
Yeah.
Okay,
Would you like me to explain which sections reduced in points or?
yes, if you don't mind.
Okay, yeah. Project planning, I dropped that to a 15 from 20. Just because there was no, there was no clear plan here. I mean, they explained what they were trying to do, but there weren't too many explanations on the details, and also creates value. I think that could have been, it was a 15. I wanted to change that to 12 because like I mentioned, I wanted to see how they were actually going to bring more people from the community into this Field Fest.
Thank you. Bob, your score?
My score on that was 80.
Georgia?
91.
Theron?
73.
I'm sorry, what?
73.
Okay, thank you.
Uh-huh.
And Megan?
70. Sorry, excuse me, 72. Sorry, 72.
Okay. Eileen will need to recompute this since we've had a change, so she may need a moment.
Sorry,
Very
Ellen.
good. It's an 81.2 now.
81.2. Thank you.
Didn't mean to make you do math, Irene.
Thank you.
So our next applicant is Project Return Inc. and Bob Terry is our first reader.
Okay, this is a program actually that's been in Hillsborough County for quite a while, and it served a highly underserved population, and it's been, unfortunately, it's gone through many changes, and so as a result, the organization is smaller, their budgets are smaller, and they're trying to serve a great need. So I felt that as far as accessibility and outward-looking philosophy, the philosophy is good. The program outline is broad enough to serve who they need to be serving. It's a very valuable program. They are so limited, though, in their partnerships throughout Hillsborough County. They really need to address their support. So as a result, their budgets are, very tight, and also their staffing is very limited. So it's so unfortunate. They're in this kind of vortex of not having a lot of staffing and not a lot of money, but the need is so great. And they have a very good functioning facility. I've visited there. I've purchased art there. But they need to be very focused. I think they have to back up and really focus on a very, very clear step-by-step project to start supporting things more broadly. So a more focused project per se, rather than overall programming. They are such a valuable asset to this particular population in general. And also, I think residents of Hillsborough County will be very surprised by the wonderful work that is being produced, both some performance work, mostly visual arts. Again, their board and their budget is very small, and their staffing is very small. The board is like 2 people. It's hard to survive on so little support. But I would love to see them get more. They do have an advantage, though, and I think that's why I really want to see this program at least survive. They do have a gallery that's on Waters Avenue that right now is more of a storage room than a gallery. It's a legitimate building with parking. And if they would take that kind of a project and take these monies and infuse that, that might be that step by step that'll me kind of that leap that they need to make for the awareness and more support. So I just feel that they really need us, and we really need them. So I hesitate because of the budgeting issues, and the low board and staffing. I don't know how to turn that around. I mean, it would take it takes a lot of consulting, a lot of work. So unfortunately, I did give it, as much as I love what they could do, I gave it a 71.
So other thoughts?
I didn't think all the answers were the greatest answers, but I also want to just kind of lift up organizations that are small, because I've been the executive director of a very small, 2 full-time staff, very small budget that was so small that we probably had similar comments from people in the community. How do you keep it going? And so I just want to lift up those organizations, because that's what we are here for, right? We're here to provide money for support. But I was looking for some stronger answers. But I definitely appreciate their size and the work that they do, despite their size.
And I want to echo that, and everything that Megan had said. My notes were really around ways to improve maybe the next go round for the application process. So it was what kind of art history, who are the instructors, class sizes, hours of operations, would have been helpful in the project timeline. There were a lot of grammatical errors throughout, so just leverage the tools available, spell check. And while it's optional, I spent some time looking on the website to find the images of the artwork, since I'd not personally been to any of the spaces or anything like that, so I could have an appreciation for visually what was being referenced. But submit some support material, or participate maybe in the workshops that the Arts Council does for sort of getting ready for the grant process. So those were my comments.
Any others?
Yeah, so one of my major improvements that I want to see with this grant application, or with them in the future, just growing this project, is actually seeing them give transportation to the population that they're serving, or bringing more people in, making it more accessible. I was struggling reading the application, like, okay, you're serving this population, but how are you bringing the population to you? It seems like it's all based on people who have support. But what if there are people that they're serving that don't have that type of support? How are they going to?
They used to have, and I'm very aware of this particular organization. I'm aware of it. I don't work for them or anything. They used to have a residential component, and so those residents then participated in the day program, as it were. So that supported it in that respect. So there was, and the way it was funded and balanced, it was completely different than it is today. And without that residential component, the people they serve are not as connected. And so you are correct. It's building the awareness that they are available and open to serve. So they've got a lot of work cut out for them. I love the program. I would love to see it, thrive. But we're investing money, taxpayer money, and they only have like 2 board members and 2 staff members, and it's hard to say, okay, where are you going to apply this money to get that lift? Maybe it's just increasing board for further support. Maybe it's, this is a consult thing. You can sit there forever with them for hours.
Okay, but can I ask what, just seeing seats filled, would that make you feel better about the organization? I mean, I think that there are some boards.
Well, they
who
have plenty of participation.
No, I mean, I'm just saying, like, I mean, I know of boards who have lots of seats filled, but the board members don't do anything. So maybe on
right.
paper,
Well, that was part of their problem too. You know, it's so, you know, there's so much back and forth, but this becomes a consulting conversation at this point. I would just love to see that that we invest in them, but I hope it's that leap that they need to get to the next step, to do projects that will increase their offerings and serve better.
Well, and also that's why they're applying for this project,
right? Exactly.
grant, rather than the larger you know, organizational support grant. And so again, I just want to kudos to those small fish out there.
Oh yeah, no, I understand that, but unfortunately, I think they're also a victim of a lot of counterplay when it comes to that residential component, and how they survive and how they did survive before. So there's a lot more going on there in those terms.
Okay, any other comments? Then we're going to score, and Bob, tell us your score again.
I gave it a 71.
And Georgia?
90, let's see, wait a second, 91.
And Theron?
79.
Megan?
83.
And Dontavius?
Sorry, 84.
Okay, and our average, Eileen?
Just 1 second, I just clicked off. It's an 81.6.
Okay, our next applicant is the Shruti Foundation, and Georgia is our first reader.
The Shruti Foundation, they are asking for funding for their East-West Music and Dance Festival for September 2021. It's a special event, and to promote cultural heritage of an Indian classical dance and showcase interactive and integrative programs with world music from around the world. They do have their education partnerships with Blake High School, USF students. They plan this, they have a good plan in place. There were some good, support documents for the event, because they have done it. It's been ongoing and ongoing for a number of years. They did receive a grant from the Arts Council from last year, but I didn't see it shown in their budget, which I thought was a little odd. And then I thought there were errors in their population numbers. And there was a concern that they have too small of a board, 4 members, but then when we looked in the support material, only 3 directors are listed as directors. So those things sort of just throw up a lot of questions. It's worthwhile. It's a really exceptional event. A lot of participation throughout the county, and also from with artists coming in. It's a lot of fun if you've been there, and I feel that it certainly is definitely a worthwhile project.
Any other comments?
Just clarifying, this festival is going to be taking place at Curtis Hickson Park, right?
That's what they were focusing on.
Yeah, and I think that's a great way of doing or increasing accessibility, because if it was located at their grounds, that would, I think,
where they've held it in the
limit
past.
the
So this is
but the fact that it's going to be in the heart of the city, or the heart of, let's say, Hillsborough County, in cultural terms, that raises awareness in a way, and it raises accessibility. And I think that was a smart move to be sure to center it there, so more people can be attain the this particular festival.
What did, though, I thought was really interesting, or maybe kind of odd, is that they're doing this at the very beginning of their new fiscal year. It's sort of I guess the event actually is October 10th, but it's like they're finishing up and then starting up a new year. So the planning is taking place now. I think it's definitely a worthwhile project.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was just going to say, Georgia, I think you called out, covered all the sort of things that resonated with me on the support material, but then also some of the concerns. I was just going to say, from a suggestion perspective, to look for maybe a mixture. I cited, I think, question 1E, perhaps a mixture of quantitative and qualitative measures to help gauge the impact, either audience satisfactions, participation, effectiveness of the event. But I did note that I appreciated, once again, the large portion of in their breakdown was for performers payments. So I thought that was very nice.
That was good.
Yep.
Anyone else? Okay, then we will start announcing scores with Georgia.
92.
Theron,
85.
Megan,
83.
Dontavius,
84.
Bob,
86.
and Eileen, will you give us the average?
Yes, it leaves us with an 86.
Okay, our next applicant is the Tampa Bay Pride Band, and Theron is our first reader.
All right, so the Tampa Bay Pride Band is a group that was founded in 2014. They have LGBTQ plus members and allies. They do a Pride Music and Arts Festival, so that's the event that this is for. This would be their 5th year doing this event. They do a strong selection of songs that resonate, and they have good partnerships, and they're looking to do one for the future year with Lumina Youth Choir. So I thought that was a very good new turn in the event. The event kicks off Pride Month, so it would be for the next year, 2021 or 2022. And they've talked about the theme being "Let Them Hear You," and they're going to focus on relaying a message of society's evolutions through trials and tribulations, which certainly feels appropriate given where we have been in the past and where we're going. So it felt very timely. It's going to be in at HCC Ybor for the festival. And overall, I have my notes here that I think that the musical selections ring true with creating value and benefits for the community, letting guests see how a view of what pride and diversity means to them. They had highlighted for raising awareness for youth, adults, children with disabilities. I felt that for 5 years into the sort of process, one of the things that I was wanting to see more details around was the project plan was a little too general for me. And one of the things that I think in the overall scheme really stood out is that usually there's a lot more explicit naming of whom is in charge of something or what their credentials are, so that you have a sense of comfort with the administrative oversight. And here it was just listed as there's roles, these roles, and this is what the role would typically do, but not really someone whose name was tied to that and sort of their background about how they fit or give support to that particular role. So I thought that the budget was realistic, and overall it was good.
Anyone else? Oh, Okay, we can go ahead and score. Theron,
So I had this scored at a total of 78.
Megan,
94.
Dontavius,
90.
Bob,
88.
Georgia,
99.
and our average, Eileen.
Comes to an 89.8.
Okay, our next applicant is Tampa Realistic Artists, and Megan is our first reader.
Sorry about that. Trying to find my score sheet here. There we go. So I saw it listed as Tampa Regional Artists and then Tampa Realistic Artists. And so I just was a little confused about the name.
I think it's realistic.
Okay.
That must have been a typo, the other.
Okay.
It's the same organization.
Perfect. So they're dedicated to promoting artistic excellence and art appreciation by providing permanent gallery space for education, exhibition opportunities, outreach activities, and fellowship for artists in the Tampa Bay area community. Total project cost is $12,975, and they're asking for $5,000. So this, the funds would go towards the 10th annual Repurposed Doodad sculpture competition that challenges young artists to reuse unconventional art materials in response to an environmentally conscious time. And so the focus, so they're celebrating 10 years in 2022. And the funds will go towards the online competition platform and to hire someone that will run the platform and do social media. The competition draws a diverse group of students from all over the county. They are accessible to many types of students. So I like the diversity that, and their appreciation for reaching all types of artists. And I thought that it was thoughtfully planned and that they had clear goals set. And allowing, so their project allows arts education opportunities to students who may not be able to have access to arts opportunities if it weren't for them being around. And so I gave them a score of 97.
Anybody else?
Yeah, I just wanted to this was one that I just wanted to rave a little bit about. I really love the detail in the project plans and steps of actions to be completed. I thought it was great in question 2A, how they detailed increased access for underserved communities. And it was really creative to me, the use of bringing this project together where it's highlighting conservation and habitat encroachment, and then drawing the community together, and getting the next generation of folks who, will be coming up to really care about those things, and seeing how environmentalist and repurposing of something can bring, but still be artistic and bring forth. So I was just really excited. I thought, they had overwhelming evidence throughout. And the 2021 arts that were shown, the exhibits were just gorgeous. So I was really impressed. So.
Anyone else? Okay, then I think we're ready. Go ahead.
I have a comment. I see I don't understand what I did. It's me. My score is incredibly low. And I don't think I either added something. I think it's like something that I should have had in there didn't get added in, because it just seems completely out of whack for what it is. So I don't know. I think my overall score should be closer to 86 and not 66. So I'm not quite sure what caused that. I don't know. I don't see my original notes. This is not even a note at the bottom, and I normally have put notes at the bottom, so I don't know what I missed there. But overall, it should have been more 88 than 66. And
What are you
I'm
changing
at a
it?
loss as to where that got dropped on my part.
So what are you changing it to, Bob?
Okay, my total should be 88, not 66, but I don't know within my notes what happened.
Okay, let's go.
I don't know.
Let's start asking for scores with our first reader. So
Right.
Megan,
97.
Dontavius,
94.
Bob, you've changed to an 88.
Yes, is my total, correct.
Georgia,
97.
Theron.
95.
Okay, let's, Eileen, if you could give us a new average.
Yes, with Bob's increased score, it becomes sorry, just one second. It becomes a 94.2.
Thank you.
Okay,
Sorry about that. I just don't know where it came from, what happened.
okay. Our next applicant is Tampa Repertory Theater, and Dontavius is our first reader.
Okay, so Tampa Repertory Theater is about 10 years old. Their first production was in 2011. This year, their project that they're requesting $5,000 for is their production of Shakespeare's King Lear. So their mission is to create transformative, relevant, and compelling professional theater that connects our diverse audience and artists through meaningful experiences. And what I found in their application was that their staff was diverse with the experience, and they're all qualified to put on these productions. But they were a recipient of the Community Arts Impact Grant 2020. And I wanted to see what they actually did with those funds. I know that, it was a pandemic, but I just wanted to see how those funds were allocated with this production. My other notes were just correlations between their application and their website. When I went to their website, they didn't really give much information. They just talked about their board of trustees. I didn't really get a lot of information on their productions and stuff like that. And that's kind of where they lost points with me, because their description of their project was, stating what they wanted to do, but it didn't really have much detail on how they were going to do it, which is what referred me to the website. So those are my notes on the Tampa Repertory.
Other thoughts?
So some of the things I wanted to call out on this one, I was surprised I had a lot of notes. I thought it was good, the inclusion of the assisted living retirement centers is trying to increase accessibility. I appreciated the alignment of the majority of costs also going to pay artists. I think it was unique from a perspective that they're using a very large cast. So they're choosing to do King Lear, which is also nice because the cast size, most of the professional houses and things like that are, 5 and under, or 4. I mean, they're not bringing large casts to the stage. You'll do Shakespeare and everybody's doubled up or tripled up, and that's your Shakespeare show. I thought that one of the things that really helped them was, I think, the numerous nominations and awards that they had cited gave a good sense of the overall trend is that they have an enormous amount of expertise in really producing something that's of a high professional quality value, and that those who they have as far as the skill sets of who are directors or their board, the skills of bringing that together worked well. So those were my positives.
Other thoughts?
I did forget to mention in my notes that one of the things I have an asterisk next to is that they pay local artists. So they got points with me.
Okay, very good. Anybody else have anything? If not, we'll go ahead to score, and Dontavius, we'll start with you.
Okay, Tempe Repertory got an 88 with me.
Bob,
78,
Georgia,
Oops, 92.
Theron,
88.
Megan.
88.
All right, Eileen, could you give us our average?
Yes, it came to an 86.8.
Okay, our next applicant is Think Tank Theater, and Bob Terry is our first reader.
okay. This particular project does broaden the scope of performance in the arts. It brings opportunities as an incubator to reach more audience, which is wonderful. They have proven outreach to partners for financial support and audience building. As a result, supporting performance and the message and the vehicle as that artists are pursuing. The application demonstrates great steps in planning and the project outcome and focus. It does it does open up a strong foundation for growth. It has established a very credible administrative management. It understands and proactively partners for a wide support system. And the last note, it's a very strong project and organization. I'm not familiar with this program, and I'm pleased I was able to review their plans. I highly recommend supporting the direction of this organization. I look forward to Think Tank being a permanent feature in Hillsborough County's art landscape. So I felt strongly about Think Tank being part of what we're doing, and I gave it a 96.
Other thoughts?
Yes. Once again, pay attention to your application and addition. Their board numbers don't add up, and their population numbers don't add up. You need to have somebody go back and check, not just the person who wrote it, but someone else. So that certainly sends up check marks, lower score.
Other comments?
Yep, I would agree with that. The things that balanced out, because I had noted those, but then what was, I thought that the case for how they outlined under the benefits and value to community, I thought that was very persuasive for why and how they benefit young artists. And I thought that they did have a good range of partnerships in place.
Great.
Anyone else? Okay, in that case, we'll score. Tell us your score again, Bob.
Mine was 96.
Georgia,
92.
Theron,
90.
Megan,
93.
Dontavius.
86.
And Eileen, if you will give us our average.
It comes to a 91.4.
Very good. Our next applicant is Transcending Elements, and Georgia is the first reader.
Transcending Elements brings in children and exposes children to performing arts, both on the stage side and also on the side that you would also do the lighting and all the things that you need for stage to put together a production. It is a multidisciplinary project. They have a very, their purpose is to engage underserved youth by offering a safe place to explore the performing arts. It's a positive experience where they can gain confidence and experience. The narrative needed, it just needed to be clear, because right now I'm not being very clear about it. It's a much needed project to reach the audiences of these children in the university area, in that community area. It gives them an opportunity to experience theater and to create a voice. But when I look at the application, I am so concerned. This project really needs to have more help. I mean, right now, they're renting this project. They're asking funding for renting. They were working out of the university area community center, and I'm wondering, why are there no more partnerships with the county or community centers? The location, they don't have a location right now. I think I would have liked more information to understand the projects. Sometimes, as I said, the narrative went off the track. There were very few specific outcomes, but as I said, it's a very outstanding project, and there are some of the people involved are very technically knowledgeable to at least teach from the technical sense. But again, I'm concerned, as Bob has mentioned before, on other organizations.
Right.
Where is it going to go? However, small organizations need support, but I also think they need some consulting help.
Yeah.
So, as I said, much needed project for the area.
I think that's kind of the gap you see where there's where a couple of these organizations do need consultants to come in and really help. Their projects or what they're doing or their mission or their purpose is great, but you know that foundation, you know, the getting a solid footing is the toughest part, and I agree with you.
I think probably the only other thing I would add is that I think maybe the Arts Council can, I think that's something we as an Arts Council will eventually need to look at and say, how can we help the smaller organizations in addition to money? And
I agree that would be something to look into as far as forming maybe a consulting arm. But again,
well, the numbers, I think they need to increase their numbers. So those are my comments. I think, as I said, it's a very much needed project to help underserved children in that area.
Other thoughts?
Yeah, I echo Georgia and Bob. I completely think that it's a worthwhile, you know, that the idea that it's worthwhile there, but I had things that, you know, the timeline was not, implementation timeline was not realistic. I think the investigation of spaces and costs should have already been completed and occurred, maybe during the pandemic, and certainly from a budgetary perspective, customizing space that's rented and not owned isn't practical. This one just didn't do it for me. The application needed a lot of additional help to make it robust for me to feel comfortable.
Other comments? Okay, then I think we're ready to score. Georgia?
78.
Theron?
58.
Megan?
70.
Dontavius?
86.
And Bob?
80.
And will you please give us our average, Eileen?
Yes, it comes out to a 74.4.
Okay, our next applicant is United Food Bank and Services of Plant City, and Theron is our first reader.
Thank you. So the United Food Bank of Plant City, and I was pleased to learn, I mean, surprised to learn that they cited they're the only food bank serving the total area in that space, and their total project cost is $15,000. Their program is called Empty Bowls. I did not know that it's been in existence. It was created in 1990. They are requesting $5,000. The mission of United Food was really to move the needy from the state of hunger to a place of self-sufficiency, self-reliance in East Hillsborough. I thought their slogan, "A hand up, not a handout," is a powerful message to help sort of just break down that stigmatism of people if they are hungry or needy. And their program offers educational programs in health, employment, finance. And this Empty Bowl program really brings local artists together to create unique bowls. And then those local organizations actually create soup to fill the bowls with. People can purchase those bowls to help bring awareness to the number of people that are experiencing food insecurity or hunger. And this year, one of the things that they were doing new is the onboarding of a local artist. So for 3 weeks, they're going to do 3D classes with students to help display the artwork at the event, which I thought was another great way to get more involvement into their project. And all supplies are included to remove any barriers to participation. And I just thought it was a really great idea to raise awareness for food insecurities, but then also combine the use of art in a creative way. So I'm looking at my overall scores, and I think the last thing that I had was maybe I'm sounding like a bit of a broken record, but in future iterations to look at the budget where perhaps some adjustments could be made so that there's an ability to pay artists that are involved a bit more.
Other comments? Okay, it sounds like we're ready to score. So Theron?
94.
Megan?
93.
Dontavius?
93.
Bob?
85.
And Georgia?
99.
And our average, Eileen?
It comes to a 92.8.
Okay, our next applicant is Village Players Valrico, and Megan is our first reader.
Right, so Village Players Valrico, their mission is to spotlight local talent, work with those who would like to learn various aspects of theater, both on and off stage, while providing affordable theater experiences and theater and entertainment for the local community. The total project cost is $50,000, and they're asking for $5,000. The project is restoration and utilization of a community theater building that is over 100 years old, an opportunity for local involvement in the performing arts, both on and off stage, including singing, dancing, acting, set building, lighting and sound, and special effects. And this can often be the first opportunity for local talent to experience theater production. They have planned the upcoming season remotely and have not opened the doors to COVID since COVID started. And they will measure success by giving audience members questionnaires. I wanted more information about why their partnerships were meaningful and in what way they partnered. And then I also wanted more information about how they serve diverse groups of people and youth. And I gave them a score of 81.
Other thoughts?
I was just going to say there were no support materials, at least. And I had questions about the budget. It was just wasn't really.
Yeah, I had the same thing. I couldn't, the budget, 50,000 budget, the breakdown didn't align with me. I couldn't understand the expenses from 2020 with no shows. I really wanted some like support material. Diversity didn't seem to be there based on the numbers that they supplied. Yeah.
At this point, when you take an organization like this and suddenly they're taking a 100-year-old building and trying to refurb a building, it seems like a misplaced energy. And we're talking about increasing, let's say, partnerships. To me, because of, let's say, it's out in Valrico, there may be a possibility of partnering like with realtors or developers out there to stabilize their performance space so that they can then concentrate on their real mission. So it was kind of, I don't know, it just didn't fit for me that much.
Anyone else? Okay, then it looks like we're ready to score. We'll start with Megan.
81.
Dontavius. Dontavius?
85, sorry.
That's okay. Bob.
75.
Georgia.
75.
Theron.
56.
And Eileen, can you give us the average?
Yes, it comes out to a 74.4.
Okay, our next application and the final one in this section is Winthrop Arts, and Dontavius is the first reader.
Okay, so just to preface this, this is one of the better written applications. This is for the Winthrop Arts, and their mission statement is to create a bridge between arts and community in intangible, and meaningful ways, with a focus on developing and inspiring the next generation of artists and patrons. By bringing the arts into central focus, we deepen our roots, enrich our local community, expand our global reach, and strengthen our humanity. So Winthrop Arts actually started in 2011. They were doing it like a Winthrop Arts festival, and then they moved on to a nonprofit in 2015. The project that they're requesting $5,000 in funding for is the Winthrop Arts Mobile Art Factory, which takes their education program to children living in underserved areas such as Waimama and Plant City. They believe that art should be available to all children, regardless of socioeconomic position or where they live. They offer classes to 2 groups of approximately 10 students in Waimama, all free, and they take it to these students. They're partnered with Hispanic Services Council and Waimama Elementary School. So their partnerships and meaningful collaborations was strong for me. Their mission was strong, and especially the population that they serve. They serve children 5 to 18, so K through 12, who live in the rural areas of Hillsborough County, such as Waimama and Plant City. Approximately where 57% of the population living in these areas have an average income of $10,000 to $40,000. So their mission to me was great, that they're actually bringing the art and teaching the language of art to these children who already have a barrier between the native language that we're speaking here. So this was good. They're serving Title I schools. I didn't find many discrepancies in this. And sorry, I typed these notes rather than wrote the other notes. So I was trying to read on the screen.
Any other thoughts?
Well, it's a valuable project, and I think it's great.
Anybody else? Okay, I think we're ready to score. We'll start with Dontavius.
Okay, 98.
Bob.
88.
Georgia.
99.
Theron.
91.
Megan.
100.
And can you give us our average, Eileen?
It comes to a 95.2.
Thank you. Well, this concludes all of the Community Arts Impact nonprofit applications. Before we move on to colleges and universities, I'm going to ask Eileen to go through and give us the average score for every application, and you will have a chance to change your score at this time, and then scores become final. But first, let's turn it over to Eileen to give us the average scores for all of these applicants.
Okay, the Caribbean Community Association has an 84.4. Florida Institute for Community Studies has an 84.4. Gasparilla Music Foundation has a 95.6. Purdom Say Youth Arts Collective has a 91. Job Site Theater has a 96.2. Lab Theater Project has an 81.2. Outcast Theater Collective has a 94.5. Philippine Cultural Foundation has an 81.2. Project Return has an 81.6. Shruti Foundation has an 86. Tampa Bay Pride Band has an 89.8. Tampa Realistic Artists has an 94.2. Tampa Repertory Theater has an 86.8. Think Tank Theater has a 91.4. Transcending Elements has a 74.4. United Food Bank and Services of Plant City has a 92.8. Village Players Valrico has a 74.4. Winthrop Arts has a 95.2.
Does anyone wish to make a change in any of their scores? Okay, then that concludes the nonprofit community arts impact grant review. So before we go to the colleges and universities, we have 3 applications in that. I just want to check, does anybody need a break at this point? Or do you just want to power on through? Okay, it looks like you're wanting to power on through, so that's fine. So now we will go to the Community Arts Impact Grant Program, colleges and universities. The first applicant is the Henry B. Plant Museum of the University of Tampa, and Bob Terry is the first reader.
Okay, this is this project that they're asking the 12,500 for is kind of a continuation of projects that they've already done before with the upstairs, downstairs, and also bringing this actually more into the community itself rather than being specifically at the museum. I've made the note at the bottom, overall, that the Henry Plant Museum and the Tampa Bay Hotel are truly national Tampa and Hillsborough County treasures, crown jewels we can be very proud of to call ours. The Museum of the University of Tampa have provided a great touch point for our national history and local history, and they are great stewards of this legacy. The proposed project adds to the experience the museum is on mission to do. I support this programming and yet hope to see greater opportunities that are not yet realized. Partnerships need to expand their programming. I think going out into the community with this expansion is the smart thing to do, but I do feel that in the near future, they should be able to expand their program to kind of get more in depth and diversify their offering and still stay on message and mission, because I know it's kind of limited because of their period of time and what the museum represents, but there are other opportunities I think that need to be brought to it. But I do wholly support everything that they do and have been doing. I just want to see it increase in the future. And they're great stewards for the museum and keeping this treasure alive. So I give it an 85.
Any other thoughts? Okay, it sounds like we're ready to score. So Bob, you gave it an 85?
Correct.
Georgia?
100.
Georgia, that seems to be different than what's on the score sheet. Did you want to change your score?
We had a 99 for this one, but we could bump it up a point.
Wait, okay, I'm sorry, I wrote it down wrong. Then you have 99?
Yes.
Keep it at 99.
Okay. Theron?
91.
Megan,
87.
and Dontavius.
95.
All right, and Eileen, if you'll give us the average.
It comes to 91.4.
Very good. Our next applicant is Hillsborough Community College, and Georgia Vahue is the first reader.
Yes, the HCC fledgling project is an extension of the NEST project that they had last year to set up with a special artist coming in and talking about feeding the community and also their students. Location is at Ybor campus. And in addition to that project, this fledgling is going to be a moving cart or moving vehicle that will go around to different communities and to teach about food, about growing food, and also making food accessible to those who may have trouble feeding their families. To me, when I read the project, the narrative, and I was really confused that they didn't get to the point fast enough that it was a fledgling, was an extension of the NEST. Also how many campuses were being participants? Was it just Ybor, which is where the NEST actual sculpture is now? And this new sculpture by the artist they're bringing in, it was a bit confusing. It's worthwhile, but I would have liked a lot clearer and more information. And someone who loves HCC, I was really disappointed that the narrative was not clear. And the program, it just lost me in reading it. So.
Other thoughts?
Yeah, Georgia, that was also my feelings about the application, that there was no focus on what the actual project was. They brought up the aspect of gardening and art, and I was conflicted trying to figure out what the actual project was.
So was I. I wasn't, it's like it was all over the place.
Yeah.
And I thought I was just so disappointed because last year's application for the NEST was so clear, concise, and then this one was like, what is happening?
I think not to make excuses for them because I don't know, but I think introducing this new cart concept is a little bit difficult for people to identify with. But the other side of this is I was able to identify with this because I did a cart project for FMOPA, and where I went on the Riverwalk with a cart with images from the museum and stuff. And the impact of being out on the Riverwalk where people are strolling and giving the opportunity to discuss what, in that particular case, FMOPA does. I immediately identified with this experience by having carts out in the community to discuss what they're doing and more outreach and more accessibility. I identified with the project a little bit more because I knew how it could possibly work. So I was a little bit more supportive, but there was some confusion, but I got through it quickly because I understood what they were doing. And also bringing in the gardening aspect. I'm a big proponent through my programs where art should not be just strictly performance and or visual. There is such thing as garden arts, culinary arts, and many other forms of arts that we can bring. And that's what this will be doing. And that's, I was glad to see it. So that's why I said
it's a great idea, but
yeah, it's just
explain it better.
Be concrete.
Yeah, I guess I think I was maybe too generous then. I think I was stuck in the middle where I gave them the creativity of the idea about this and all the things that it could contain or do. I think I went to the Bob side of saying, oh, this is great, and wasn't as focused on, because it certainly was, it took a bit to get to that.
Correct.
So, but yeah, I completely hear then what Georgia and Dontavius are saying, so.
Other thoughts? Okay, we will start scoring with Georgia.
92. That's probably generous, but 92.
Theron,
Well, I agree. 92 is now it really sounds generous though, because this was the only one that I'd scored 100.
okay, and Megan,
I also scored 100. It got me, so.
No, I'm with you, Megan. Like it's the same thing. It's like this car. I was like, oh, that's so cool. So it was the emotional appeal.
The car concept does work. I mean, it's truly a quote unquote great vehicle for getting out. And so it's good.
Dontavius, your score,
85.
Bob,
92.
and Georgia.
Oh, well, or 92. I already said.
All right, and the average, Eileen?
It comes to a 93.8.
Very good. And our next and final applicant for review is USF Contemporary Art Museum, and Theron is our first reader.
So the USF Contemporary Art Museum, they had, some of my notes here. I thought it was very good. Their project is called Breaking Barriers. It's the 4th year in operation. One of the things that was really impressive to me was really knowing the target audience, who the opportunity that's out there. So they had cited some specifics, 98,000 veterans in the Tampa Bay area. They have helped throughout their 4-year operations. I had the number 12,500. Through this project of Breaking Barriers, the project helps end the silent veteran, lets the veterans have a voice through art making. So if they're really struggling with things that maybe it's harder to speak about through creative works of, these art programs, that it becomes a way to express and let out some of those, maybe those troubles or past or demons. There are displays of artwork focused on social justice and equity. And so this year they are looking at a 4-part program with 5-week artist-led photos and video workshops, sort of like a think tank strategy, a spread of showings of curated work, and then a full color illustrated catalog. So their planning process detailed a wide array of voices and opinions. It let them learn from home. So they were embracing some of the digital technology, phones, to make things as easily as accessible for veterans as possible. And there was a lot of evidence that they'd done a lot of research. I felt that they really had completed research to understand their target population and how to reach veterans with topics that resonated with them. So I listed let me see if there was anything else. I had found, or was the one thing I was looking for maybe in a future submission that would strengthen the application would be to share or show some exhibit work from past collections, or maybe a veteran testimonial as to their experience in the program, as maybe some optional support material. And I scored that 96.
Other thoughts?
Yeah, this is a project that's close to me personally as an artist, but as a veteran. And I'm certainly interested in supporting this fully. And the veterans, obviously, I feel have been untapped and underserved for sure. Recently, FMOPA did do a project just like this with the library system, of which I was able to exhibit some of my work. Unfortunately, COVID chopped into that somewhat, and I hope it becomes comes forward again. I'm excited about the project. I hope at some point I'm able to participate in it. So I'm looking forward to it.
Any other thoughts? Okay, I think we're ready to score. We'll start with Theron,
96.
Megan,
100,
Dontavius,
92.
Bob,
94,
Georgia,
99.
We
Georgia.
have 100 for you on this one.
We had 100 on this one for
Oh,
you.
why did I match that? Well, I guess I wrote them backwards. All right, 100 on that one.
And Eileen, would you average these for us?
It comes to a 96.4.
Okay, very good. Well, now we're going to go back through the 3 applicants in case anyone wants to change their scores. This is your last chance. Eileen, will you please give us the organization and the average?
So Henry Plant Museum has a 91.4, Hillsborough Community College has a 93.8, and USF Contemporary Art Museum has a 96.4.
Does anybody want to change any of their scores? Very well, then the scores at this point are final. And this concludes our adjudication of the Community Arts Impact Grants for 2022. Thank you so much, panelists. This was a lively, animated discussion. You all were clearly well prepared and felt passionately about many of the organizations that you reviewed. We know how much work this is and how much time it takes, but please know that we greatly, greatly appreciate your assistance. For any of the applicants that are tuning in, we will not be able to announce the funding amounts until after our board meets and approves those, but you should be hearing from us sometime in September. So thank you all who attended. Thank you to our panelists. There is a recording of this that will be available. If anyone who attended today would like to have a link to that, please just email the Arts Council and we will make sure you have that. And we got it done in 2 hours, guys, without a break. So congratulations. Thank you all again. And this concludes the meeting.
Thank you.
thank you.